It's May 2016, approximately 11 a.m. and I'm out here in the Duck Mountains of Manitoba once again for some more adventures. This time I'm heading into Long Lake off the Sarah Lake Road. I'll bushwhack with my kayak through an old logging road. This logging road behind me is probably about 20 to 30 years old. I'll take that as close as I can get. I'm gonna get on the water tonight at some point, hopefully within a few hours, and I'll camp out where there was an old mill site marked out on a map on the north end of Long Lake. Long Lake is a very remote place. I want to spend at least one night there. The last time I was there was about 2003 when I hiked through a winter blizzard to get there. So one night at Long Lake, and then in the next morning, I'm gonna bushwhack east about 5 kilometers to McGaw Lake. That's gonna be a very strenuous bushwhack. Blow down, thick hazel, steep gullies, hills. It'll be a beating for sure. McGaw Lake, I plan on spending some time there. Been there over the years many times. I love that place. And then, depending on time, I'll either bushwhack home from Brush Creek or I'll just take the Roaring River right out of Duck Mountain. I'm bringing my GPS, of course. Without this, it'd be pretty tricky to navigate to these old mill sites that were there 30, 40 years ago. Without some coordinates, I don't think anybody could find that. You can't even see anything on Google Earth, really, to distinguish that there was something there. This bag is my camera bag, so other than the camera I'm recording with right now, I do have a second camera with 2 spare batteries and a memory card. Everything fits in this white glove. A dry bag, so if I'm collecting plants or anything, I can easily slide this under the seat. Nothing in there at the moment. I am taking a knife, and this tie-down strap could be used for a lot of things, I suppose, but really it's just to hook around myself to drag the kayak in. This is my jacket that I'll wear at night. This is waterproof housing case for my Sony Handycams. It's the wrong size, doesn't have the right adjustments, it's outdated, so it's terrible. But I paid some good cash for this, so I want to use it. I'm gonna make it work. If the water's clear enough in Long Lake or McGaw, I'll be sending this down, you can guarantee that. And that's all I'm bringing. No water source, no food. Let's hope that I can find some frogs or something to eat. All right, let's get started. No time to waste. It's 11 a.m. and I got about 5 kilometers to the first water body, which is Long Lake, all bushwhacking. So getting here, I came in at Sarah Lake Road. I think I pulled into this little clearing around kilometer 14 or so, a little grassy meadow. To the north is the Swan Valley, near Swan River, Manitoba. Beautiful area, that's where I spent most of my life. I'll show you a couple clips of that actually. So already there's a ruffed grouse right here, standing on this log, potentially nesting site. I've covered 1.5 kilometers with my kayak here, just dragging it along. It's been pretty easy going so far, just kind of on this trail. And now I come up to this landing, or this clearing I should say, and I kind of think it might have been an old landing for logging. Looks like the trees surrounding the area are pretty young, maybe 25 years old, so this might have been an area where wood was decked, or there could have been a mill here. It's pretty interesting. So I got a trail going along the east end of Robinson Lake that way, or that way. The old logging road kind of loops around to an old mill site. So I'm curious about these old mill sites. So while I'm here, I want to kind of kill two birds with one stone and try to check out as many of them as possible. But rather than following this old logging road, which was a winter road going through swamps, I'm going to cut up straight up this hill here. So the easy trail has come to an end. There is remnants of an old logging road here, but it's completely grown in. And now this is where I just swim through understory hazel, alders, willows, and everything else that wants to slice you up. Okay, about 4 kilometers in now, still bushwhacking. And this is exactly the reason I come to these places. I want to find old things that have been laying out here for decades. Here's a can of tobacco. I can't identify anything other than really old stumps and just the age of the surrounding trees. My best guess is 25 years old, so this quite possibly has been there since the winter it was logged 25 years ago. I'll find a more specific timeline later. Can't find a date or anything on this, but it's very unique. Hoping to visit some of these mill sites and see what else I find out there. Not even sure what time it is. Probably afternoon. And I'm in a pretty nice aspen forest. Understory's all beaked hazel. Slicing my arms up pretty good. No bugs at all, other than houseflies. But I do have some steep ground to climb here. It's going to be tough pulling this kayak uphill through all this hazel. This sucks. Starting to get pretty beat up going over all this blowdown with the kayak. I filmed a couple of them, but for every 2 or 3 I film, there's probably 20 more that I don't. So it's just climbing in and out of this blowdown. And now I'm kind of into a different forest type, kind of a black spruce swamp. Bugs are loving this stuff. So mosquitoes have really started to come out as it's cooling down here in this bog, and still houseflies buzzing around everywhere. This blowdown is starting to become a real challenge. Slowed me right down. I'm basically crawling through it 50 meters at a time. It's a lot of punishment just to see a new lake. Looks like I found a patch of morels here. I definitely want to take all of these. This will be my dinner tonight. Well, I found a couple dozen morels. Some of them are very fresh, getting a bit of juice out of them. And I am starting to get pretty dehydrated, so I need to get some form of water until I get to that lake. So now I just got to find a way to store these without destroying them, because I don't want to eat them all right now. And I definitely want to have a snack tonight around the fire, so let's find a way to pack this up. Well, there you have it. Camera case full of morels. Well, this is the location on the map of an old mill site. I'm going to scour around the area and see if I can find any evidence of past human use. Some old blocks there. Piece of tin. Some old stumps. That's really rotten. That's got to be 20 years old at least, 25. Looks like there's something going on up here. Bunch of boards. What do we got here? Freestone antifreeze. This company guarantees that Freestone brand antifreeze, if used according to printed directions in a normal water cooling system, will protect the cooling system of your car against freezing and clogging from rust formations. Kind of a more recent artifact, 25 years old at least. It's hard to believe that in this swamp there was cars, there was people in a camp, and there was all kinds of logging going on. It's all grown in, it's all come back pretty nice. This looks like remnants of a stove. Beehive honey. Golden corn syrup. I highly doubt you're going to find this in the co-op. This, I think, is an old wood stove. Now this, I really don't know what this is. Looks like could be part of a car, pickup truck. Some shingles, boards, old nails. I have no idea what this thing is, but it's been here for a long time. Lying out here right in the middle of the swamp, I find another piece of junk. I shouldn't say piece of junk, a piece of history. Look at this. Amazing. Cables and a bed spring. Check this out. A bed frame way out here in the middle of a swamp out in the Duck Mountains in Manitoba. Very remote location. Pretty cool to find this. It's been a long time since this bed has had any people sleeping on it. And I don't think I'm gonna be the first one. Found a couple beer bottles in here as well. Yep, loggers. Gas jug. Looks like a Martin box. Oil filter, oil jug. Hydraulic brake fluid, 4-liter can. Camp fuel. Well, I have to say I'm very happy I made the extra effort to come into this old mill site. It doesn't look like this place sees many people anymore. This stuff was buried in a lot of leaf litter, so I might be the first one to see this in quite some years. This was definitely a winter road, a winter operation, crossing all these swamps and stuff. Found quite a few artifacts here. A little piece of our heritage right here on this site. Well worth the time to check out. I'm gonna take a coordinate and would just love to come back here someday again. Coordinate is called junk. Well, there's several of these mill sites scattered across the Duck Mountains. This is the first one I've made a serious effort into finding and digging around. Glad I did it. Wood stove, honey jar, tobacco can, pieces of cars, boards, nails, remnants of an outhouse. It looks like some shingles and boards, antifreeze can. I'm sure if I had a metal detector, I'd find all kinds of tools in here too. Well, I think I better hit the road and get to Long Lake before I'm beaten by the darkness. This area here looks like a landing to deck wood. They might have decked it here and then skidded to the sawmill in that camp. Just north of Mill 7 on the map. Soaking wet in a marsh. This is floating bog. Don't want to break through this. Oh God. Oh God. Exhausting. Well, that was not fun. Just climbed through a floating bog. You never know with those bogs. I wouldn't have expected that one to be that deep, but I went up to my waist and I couldn't feel the bottom. So I kind of treat it like falling through the ice, kind of leaning forward, spreading out my weight, and just grabbing onto something, pulling myself out on my stomach, opposed to trying to walk out. You just keep sinking deeper and deeper, and it is exhausting work. My face feels numb right now. I feel like I just got punched. It was very strenuous work to get out of that. Unfortunately, there was no other way around unless I wanted to walk at least a kilometer to the east through all this jungle. I'm about a kilometer from Long Lake now. I am running out of daylight. I'll see how much more I got in me to drag this kayak. I just want to get to that lake, find a camp spot, and lay down and rest. Evening grosbeak behind me there. Oh, my head feels like it's gonna explode right now. I really need to find a water source. Should come across some creeks pretty soon. And I gotta really drink some water here. It's been a physical day with no water. I continue to fight my way through the bush. Starting to pick up on some game trails. So reading the topography here, I think the next slope, these game trails are going to lead right down to the edge of the lake. So actually the game trails are a nice break from the dense beaked hazel, so I'm going to follow them as much as I can without being tempted to veer off course. So that's what I just came through, and I'm not too happy about it. Oh man. Looks like this was a beaver dam at one time, which is no longer in use. They may have moved on or been trapped out of here. But I do see something over there. I really gotta see what's going on over here. Something laying in the grass. Now that is one nice moose antler. Nice chocolate brown. Scared the geese away. Okay, nice chocolate brown moose shed. Be a heck of a pain to haul this out of here. So I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Might just take a GPS coordinate and come back for it later. Mosquitoes are coming out in full force. Can't keep them off me. Gets to the point you can't fight them. Another sign I'm close to the lake. It doesn't help being surrounded by these swamps. Bit of a salt lick right here, it looks like, just on the south end of Long Lake. I'll grab a coordinate of this too. When will this end? So after traveling all day for the first time in 13 years, I made it back here to Long Lake in the middle of Duck Mountains, Manitoba. And I am very proud that I made it in here with my kayak. Now I can explore it. The last time I seen this place, it was minus 35, blizzard conditions, and I crossed on the north end just to get the heck out of here. And now all that hard work pays off. Let's go and check it out. As soon as I got onto the lake, the thought occurred to me that I should be GPSing it, and I had no GPS. So I kind of panicked, backtracked, ran up that hill, that I was fighting through all that jungle, and then the thought started to sink in. I'm never gonna find that in this jungle. I would need to navigate out of here without the use of a GPS, which I'm confident I would get myself out of here, but with a kayak is another story. Chances are I would have had to leave my kayak here. Just when I lost hope, there it was hanging in a tree. Got ripped out of my pocket and hung up, so I got it. Stupid beavers. Of course, the mosquitoes don't want me to rest, but that's fine. They're not bothering me too much. They need blood too, I guess. It's a beautiful lake. So grateful for places like this. I don't care how many mosquitoes, beavers, leeches there are out here. It's all worth it for me to come out here. I'm bruised up, bashed up from going through miles and miles of hazel to get here. Lots of beaver trails coming up the east slopes. My kayak is taking a little bit more water than it normally does. Might have something to do with crossing 1,000 logs. Going down that hill full of stubs and beaver stubs and alders, hazels. Sure, that's not great for it. But if this is the last lake I ever kayak with this kayak, I'd be pretty satisfied. Taking it to a lot of rough places. As you can see, I don't have my life jacket. I didn't want to carry it. It would probably get ripped to shreds out here. So I'm in 2 feet of water here, and I plan on staying there. I won't be going out into the middle of this lake. Looking south. Back north. Looking south from the very north end. Okay, I'm off the water. Now I need to find a campsite. There's a spruce bluff just up this hill. Thinking it'll be pretty dry in there. So, a good location for fuel. One last look at the lake. Okay, I think I found the perfect spot. Flat ground and some nice fuel supply. So I'm here just relaxing by the fire, kind of drying out after crossing some of those floating bogs and climbing through all kinds of swamps and debris below down. Pretty nice to finally sit down and dry off, and it's a clear night, so pretty gracious that it's not going to pour on me all night. I don't have much of a shelter, so sure hope I luck out with the weather here. Otherwise I'll have to move more inland and get under a big spruce. Just natural shelter, that's all I got. Kind of thinking I might have those fiddleheads and morels for breakfast. And there's just hot coals left from this fire. Good morning, it's day 2, May 21st, about 10 a.m. I definitely overslept, but I feel nice and fresh this morning, so I'm going to focus on getting some fresh water this morning and heading on to the next area. But first, I'm going to have some breakfast. So remember how I collected all those morels and fiddleheads? Stored them in here. Just gonna dump them off into this piece of bark. And here's the fiddleheads. Dump them into there. Now I'm just gonna place this on some hot coals. Okay, so my fiddleheads and morels are done. Time to have a bit of breakfast. Just need a fork. Nice and steamed. Now that is delicious. Fiddlehead. Nice and crunchy. And as I'm eating here, they continue to steam and smoke on this piece of wet bark that I chose as a dinner plate. I'm looking for this mill near Long Lake, on the north end of Long Lake. And I did pick up some evidence of past trails. This one just ended in this swamp, so again, probably a winter road. So I'm going to backtrack and see if I can find any chunks of metal or anything like that. A little clearing. Here's some boards with nails. Some very old boards. Little edge of a ditch. Could be part of a belt on a pulley system. Here, this is where the mill must have been. Large clearing here. Well, that's the end of this trail. You can definitely see there was a cut block here. Again, looks like about 25 to 30 years old. You see all these little mounds where there was a previous stump with some regrowth growing out of it now. Kind of a ridge of dirt here.
and it kind of looks like an old trail. This might be strippings from an old trail. Oh, wow. Very old whiskey bottle. Here's some cable. Tin can over there. Another thing of oil here. Oil jug. Look at these mounds. It's like there was a large white spruce there before, and now it's aspen, which is about 30 years old at least. Another bucket. A nice view of Long Lake on May 21st, 2016. Windy day. Geocache number 2. What I'm gonna do is pack up and head out of here, go and get my kayak and start dragging it towards McGaw Lake. But I'm not gonna spend the time to actually go into McGaw Lake. I'm gonna hit TP Creek, follow that north past TP Creek Cabin, and then I'm gonna hit the Roaring River, and hopefully there's not too much log jams or anything like that, and I can follow the river either to Brush Creek Cabin or right out of here, right on out to the Swan Valley. It begins, day 2. So this is that old mill site I checked out. Little did I know I'd be right back dragging my kayak across, and that's that geocache I set up in the middle. Had no idea I was gonna come through here a second time. Kinda kicking myself for doing this today. Dragging kayak all the way across the mountain to TP Creek. So right now I'm using the sun as my compass. I know what time of day it is and where the sun is exactly. It's just a little bit southeast, so that'd be about 110 degrees. And that's exactly the direction I want to be going. So I'm just following the sun. Now, of course, after a couple hours or even an hour, I might want to readjust my bearing, watch the GPS a little more closely. What a breathtaking view behind me. That's the TP Creek Valley down below, 600 meters away. McGaw Lake is on the other side of that valley. And I just swam through a bunch of beaked hazel again. It's tough going, but these breathtaking views makes it all worth it. Beautiful aspen forest with really thick, dense hazel down below. And balsam poplar down in the valley here. Well, that solves that problem. Another morel. Well, this is what I've been waiting for, a fresh spring. So I want to drink as much as physically possible before moving on. Well, the spring has turned into a creek, and I'm assuming if I just follow this will take me right into TP Creek. This is just north of Big Ravine, and that's that big hill I came down out of.
Found the trail. Well, the TP Creek wasn't working out. Too many beaver dams, too much stopping and getting out and portaging. So I just went straight east and hit this trail. Should hit the TP Creek cabin in about a kilometer. I'm pretty exhausted in here. Found another creek, so I'm taking the chance to get some water in me. McGaw Creek on the TP Creek cabin trail, just south of the cabin. Well, this is the site of TP Creek cabin. Little creek going into the TP Creek. I'm going to take this chance to have another water break. There is some little fish in here, sticklebacks, so I'll be able to trap some of them. This is TP Creek cabin. It's May 21st, Saturday, about 8 p.m. Time to hit the road again. That's a blowdown damage from 2012. I've weighed my options pretty carefully, walked up and down the river checking this out. This is the Roaring River, and I need to decide, am I going to jump in the river with the kayak right now at 9 p.m. and try to make it to Brush Creek cabin, or somewhere where I can just sleep by a fire again, or am I going to cross the river and portage my kayak all the way out of here, 8 kilometers. Right now it's tempting to just ride the river. It's high enough, but there is some deep currents and some low spots with fast rapids, so I don't know. I think I want to just get in the river and give it a shot. I've only went about a kilometer, and this is much too risky.
I almost got swept into this eddy right under a blowdown, and it was hard to kind of escape and get back to a shallow spot. So hate to do this because it's so nice just letting the river do all the work. But up ahead I got rapids. I know all it would take is one bad move and I would flip my kayak, get soaking wet, and lose all my gear. I just walked around the next couple bends and it's not looking good. I have to tap out of this idea right now. If I go around the corner, there's a blowdown spruce. It would literally be in and out of the kayak dozens of times before I got anywhere close to my camp, and I have about an hour of daylight. So I think what I'll do is I'll get my kayak to a decent place upland where I can camp out overnight, build a shelter or something, or just sleep by the fire, and then I'm gonna have to portage the hard way 5 kilometers out of here in the morning. Dragging this kayak around is not very nice on the body. And this is one example of a time where I wish I didn't have it at all. It's awfully tempting to use this camp here. Somebody has my night 2 shelter. There's a board there I could use to put over one of these benches, kind of sleep underneath that, and there's a good supply of firewood. On the other hand, I got another hour of daylight that I'd like to use. I'd like to wake up as close to the end of this route as possible. It's 10 p.m. and I'm pushing hard to get as far into this trail as I can. Mosquitoes are eating me alive here, and it's been mostly uphill. I just want to get up into some wind, get a break from these bugs. The water behind me is in a beaver pond in a small creek. I'm not going to trust that water. It's too slow, brackish. I need fresh water, fresh running water like those springs I had. I'm not sure how much further I'm going to walk before I give up for the night. It's 11 p.m. I haven't stopped once yet. Just been going full throttle. Thinking I have to stop soon. It's getting too dark to stay on the trail, and I really need to lay down and take a rest. It's just nice to take advantage of this cool weather at night. Making good time. Okay, so I found a nice little spot with all this old blowdown that people bucked off the trail and threw aside. There's lots of dry grass here, so time to make a fire quickly. Okay, I got 2 cattails that I pulled out of a swamp, my knife, ferro rod, and all this dry grass. Cattails, dry grass. Let's hope this works.
think it's a safe bet that this fire is gonna go. Well, that's nice. It's all about selecting location, and here I knew as soon as I saw this wood pile that it was going to be pretty easy to get a fire going. So ideal spot. It's kind of upland, some wind blowing the mosquitoes away. It's really nice. The ground is just crawling with these ticks right in the spot I wanted to have a nap. Good morning. It's 4 a.m. on Sunday. Birds are singing and it's windy as can be. I had a bear run through my camp last night. Saw something black out of the corner of my eye when I was sleeping. When I got up to look, it bolted into the bush. Looked like a small bear, maybe a 2-year-old. Thinking I'm gonna hit the trail here pretty soon. It's 5:30 a.m. Seems like I took a wrong route. I'm on Route W. I thought I would have been out by now. So, gotta keep slugging away and really exhausted here. I really need water. And getting eaten alive by mosquitoes every time I try to rest. I made it to an actual road. And I'm heading out of here. Left my kayak behind, I'll have to come back for that. Main road. It's 9:30 a.m. May 22nd, and stopped at somebody's house to use the phone. I have a ride coming. So it's only a matter of minutes before this journey is done. And I'm pretty happy about that. It was a long, strenuous journey, like all of them. Dragged a kayak around the Duck Mountains for no purpose.
Turns out last night I took like a 7-kilometer wrong turn detour, which is why it's so hard to get out of here. And original plan of going down the Roaring River was never going to work with those conditions, so I did a lot of unnecessary dragging of the kayak on this adventure. It's not bad when you're hopping lake to lake or floating down a stream, but to drag a kayak halfway across Duck Mountain and not even use it, it was just frustrating. But at least it's a excuse to get out in the bush